again, hair and it's just bodies are different.
Bodies are different.
True.
True story, bro.
I don't know if I moved my seat or not. Will you double check and make sure I'm in the
Oh, I already started. We're good.
frame? We're good? Please hold. Rieger Maniacs. That was a good one.
Rieger Maniacs. I like it.
I like it too. Welcome to the Savor the Burn podcast. My name is Jonathan. This is W2. How do you do?
It's been a good night.
It's been a good night so far. We had some apple dump cake.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a couple of these fine whiskeys from Rieger's that we'll talk about.
We had
real
the
quick.
Kansas City Monarchs,
Mm-hmm.
which was a Kansas City whiskey
Mm-hmm.
finished in KC
Beer
Beer
Co.
Co. barrels. Mm-hmm. Then we had their Homestead Grays, which was a straight rye,
Straight rye whiskey. Yeah, fantastic.
Which came from Philly.
which came from Philly.
Right. Yeah.
Birthplace of rye.
Who knew that Philadelphia was the birthplace of rye? I had no idea. Makes me want to go visit. Stick my finger in the Liberty Bell. And then get yelled at and
I
arrested.
get yelled at.
Let's go to jail. Anyway, so no, your eyes do not deceive you. Once again, we have Mr. Chandler Johnson,
Hello.
Mr. Kalamazoo.
Thank you.
How do you do?
I do so well. How do you do?
I'm excited to be in the presence once again of the Kansas City Kid.
Thank
The
you.
KC
Bang bang.
Kid.
Bang bang.
Bang bang. Finger bang. Bang bang.
It's so good to be like. I mean, this is our third take,
We're going strong.
and it's been really good. And it sounds like we have one more, right? Is that
There is.
okay? So
Yeah,
it's,
after this,
so this is not 3 strikes and you're out.
definitely not.
Okay.
You get
so,
4 strikes.
Okay, 4 strikes.
And then
The
everybody's got to go home
the
because he's got to
rules
go to bed.
The rules have changed significantly, but but like they're good rules when it comes to whiskey rules. That's how it feels like.
Because whiskey does rule.
Yeah, it does.
Does rule.
Or like I guess we look at it as like we've done. This is third base. Later on, we're gonna get to home plate again, and
Oh, dear.
everybody's gonna be feeling good.
Oh, my.
Yeah. So this is good. Oh, I did not know what we were about to do here, but this sounds like a little bit of your neck of the woods here.
Yes, sir.
This is good.
This is St. Louis Stars.
Mm-hmm.
This is a straight bourbon. So yeah, we started off with the Kansas City style whiskey. Then we went to a straight rye, and now we finally landed on a straight bourbon. I'll just go ahead and get into it if that's all right.
Yeah, it comes in at 95 proof. And I'm later on, I'm going to want to hear if you knew anything about the Negro League
I did not.
team of St. Louis Stars.
No, I've never really been a huge baseball fan in general.
Okay.
From St. Louis, of course, I knew Cardinals.
Yeah, Cardinals and
But-
hockey.
But I am excited, and I haven't done my research on the St. Louis Stars to know this, but those are straight up blues colors right there. You got the blue and the gold.
So that's one of the things that I wanted to highlight about this bottle in the sense of that it has the St. Louis Blues look, but at the time, like one of the other things is that the St. Louis Rams was another color like that.
It was.
So
yeah.
it's interesting like that. Like
So
the
is that a St. Louis thing?
The Cardinals are the only like at least, and I mean I don't know what the Arches, the soccer team, or what color is that?
There's not blue. It's-
Okay.
Yeah.
But like it's interesting that the Cardinals, and I mean granted, their
St.
name,
Louis FC.
the name Cardinals like is not gonna have blue in it, but like really interesting that blue and gold is like kind of like it seems like a core color for St. Louis.
Well, this is the St. Louis Stars small batch straight bourbon whiskey. This, once again, is a no-age statement. Comes in at 95 proof. It is a straight bourbon whiskey. Good timing.
Mm-hmm.
The St. Louis Stars were best known for winning 3 league titles in 4 years, from 1928 to 1931. And this limited edition small batch straight bourbon whiskey will be forever known as our first small batch bourbon. That's pretty cool. A variation of our classic bourbon distillation of corn, rye, and malted barley. It's rich, malty, and buttery with a unique character and personality. We love it neat or on the rocks, but it's also great in your favorite cocktails.
So here's one of the things that I'm just going to kind of spoiler alert a little bit. I think the reason why the blue and gold is such a significant thing is because the city of St. Louis flag has blue and gold in it.
It does. I did know that.
So I wonder.
You've got the red.
So I wonder if like that is a significant part of why they why that's highlighted versus something else. But if somebody knows more than we know,
seems pretty thick
let us
so
know.
far. I did a little swirl, held it up to the light, waited for a while. I didn't get any legs. I guess there they were. I got to be more patient. Patience is not one of my virtues.
It smells like bourbon.
It does smell like bourbon. Yeah.
There's vanilla, custard,
Uh-huh.
some caramel.
It is custardy. It is buttery.
Yeah. And maybe that's what gives it a custardy taste is or nose palate is the butteriness.
Corn. It's there. Probably like sweet corn.
Corn for days.
Yeah.
We haven't done that in a while.
Yeah. I was trying to get into existence to cover it. Like, trust me, guys. We can do this. Like, he's not even saying words. Trust me. We can do this.
I'm digging on this nose.
You picking up anything on the nose?
so I'm picking up that buttery lightness that like you're talking about.
Apple.
Yeah,
Apple.
It's got apple on the nose.
I could sense that a little bit.
Not much oak.
That's what's missing. Oak. Mm-hmm. It'll probably show up later on the
Do
palate.
you feel like over time, like you're like being able to identify like the smells has grown since like you first?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Absolutely, it has.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I went from wondering what all these smells were to now I look for those certain smells.
Okay.
I look for those certain scents or whatever. Because like when it's bourbon, you expect it to have oak, vanilla, maybe a citrus, maybe some apple, but caramel. A sweetness of some kind, and really all bourbons vary on those points, and you just try to figure out, does this have those points, one, and two, which are they? Like, is it a sweet corn? Is it like a field corn, that they grind up and feed cows, that kind of stuff, like no flavor? Is it what kind of sweetness is it? Is it honey? Is it brown sugar, toffee, butterscotch,
Yeah.
Does it have a creamy kind of smell to it? Does it or buttery even, so we've already gone over a lot of these terms so far, but I think that's indicative of what Rieger Company does. Like they don't make plain product. It's never like overly complex that I've found, but I don't know that I've had an overly complex whiskey or bourbon before, but it seems like it's got a lot to offer every damn time.
Is there a little bit of cherry on that?
What was that one that we had that had cherry cola on it?
Well, okay, so
Was it that Filmland?
it was a foam
Okay.
land. So talking about our nose and our palates growing over time.
Yeah.
Last summer we did the Eagle Rare,
Put the
and
reset on it.
we did that with Faith and Tim, and Tim threw out there. He's like, just follow me on this cherry Coke,
Yeah.
and whether it at the time power suggestion or whatever, we're like, we kind of were like, okay, yeah, I can kind of see that. Then you fast forward, and just recently, I'm good. We did that Moonlight Mayhem Filmland, and I swear to God, it had cherry Dr. Pepper or cherry Coke on the nose, palate, and finish.
Like a deep
it was
caramely
all the way
sweetness
through.
mixed with the cherry.
It had a caramely cola kind of a flavor with cherry wrapped all around it, and a lot of other things as well. But that's one of those nice things that a few years ago I would have never said, oh yeah, cherry Coke.
I'm thinking like toasted nuts, like walnut, and I'm not sure I pick up on the cherry, but I definitely get the sweetness. What?
I was gonna say one of the things that like I think of.
Oh, I thought you were making a face at me.
No. I just had a unfortunate yawn, so I apologize.
Oh, okay, all right.
One of the things that I think that like
sorry for calling you out like that.
no, it's okay.
I saw something. I'm like
I was
what?
just semi yawning. It's just like
yeah.
Yeah, putting him to sleep with our talk. If we put you to sleep with our talk, please hit subscribe for more.
No. I'm just a Danny Glover, and I'm just getting too old.
Getting too old for this shit.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, not with hanging out with you guys, just being old, but like the part that like I think is fascinating with you all is like how much you have grown in being able to identify it. I mean, again, still, as much as I've been, a guest here, it's been awesome to just be able to kind of finely tune my palate or like my nose and trying to identify that. But like I think for like your viewers and everything, where they're like getting into it for themselves, it's like the more and more that you keep on like practicing, focusing on it, like, working on like taking that smell, getting that nose together, the more that you're going to acquire it. Because like, I remember like watching Food Network, like most recently, like Iron Chef, and I'm like, how do they identify the certain tastes that they have? But it's like, it
reps.
takes.
They're putting in reps.
Yes. Yep. Like, yeah, none of this Allen Iverson stuff practice. We're talking about practice. No, we're talking about actually doing the work.
Doing the work.
And like, and you're doing it with something that's really, really good. So,
and work?
Yeah.
We're drinking bourbon. All right. What's going on, W2?
I'm gonna throw it out there right now.
Stop the presses.
We're nowhere close to putting numbers to paper.
Right.
But I'm gonna throw it out there now. I think my presentation number is gonna go up a little.
Really?
I discovered something I did not know. There's something. Another one of those details.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this?
All right. What's going on? Oh wow! Right there on the punt. There's the Rieger design.
The JR shield.
Yeah.
Right there. And I can only guess it's probably on all of them. Yeah.
Yep. It's on these. It's on that one.
I had no idea.
Huh.
So does that increase your?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's another feather in the cap.
That's another quarter point, half point, whatever. I mean, it's not.
That's awesome.
It's not a bag.
That's
it's not
awesome.
a box. It's not a wooden.
It came in a box.
It did. But we're going by the single bottle, not by
we are.
not the whole collection.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those
That's a sleeper. Like, did you see it?
It did.
Through the refraction on the bottom of the glass.
I saw
what is that?
I saw some refractions, but I tilted it to look to see what kind of punt it had on the bottom of the bottle. And that
usually like you get the old Taco Bell tin ashtray look to the bottom of them, but this one here nope.
In case you didn't know, the dimple in the bottom of the bottle is called a punt.
And why is it called like?
That's what it's called.
It's just called that. They don't have
I think the French named it with their wine bottles.
Okay, I just was wondering if there was like a more of a
I think it does something that adds strength to the bottom. It's like bump resistance.
Yep. There's not much of a punt on a bottle like this, but it's also a very thick bottom.
Sturdy.
So
like I like my women.
Hey, listen. I do love this. Like I do love again the subtlety, like simplicity of it, but like making sure that you recognize the brand, and even if it's on the bottom. Like if you decided to keep this bottle and you took off everything else, like you would have at the end of the day, it's still going to be
a JR.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I do think it's sad that the Negro League players at the time didn't get the recognition for what it was that they were doing at the time. Being posthumously honored, with their colors and their legacy through whiskey, through a Kansas City-based whiskey. I think that's incredible, but I can't help but wonder, what would those players think of this occasion, being honored in this way? Like, would they be like, that's great, cut me a check? Or would they be like, would they feel as honored as I would want is I want to project them feeling honored.
Yeah.
It's just one of those
I think
things I might be thinking
I think
about.
that's the like, even from my perspective of like being a person of color, like the history in relationship to like the current market is such an interesting thing, because at the same time, like, while like some of the proceeds is going to go to the baseball museum and help benefit that, help continue the legacy of that, you get into these weird things where it still also is a market thing, right? Like, you're getting something where it's like Jay Rieger is going to get a benefit out of this.
Yeah. Otherwise, would we have bought it? Would we have been so fucking jazzed to buy it?
Right. And that's where it's like a hard thing, because like at the end of the day, as much as we talk about anything else, money makes the world go around. Like, it's one of those things that
if it's not profitable, they're not going to promote it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I would be interested if like these players would go the honor route as opposed to the cut me the check route, or vice versa.
Maybe a little bit of both.
And both of it's right. I think that's the biggest part of the discussion, because I think sometimes as viewers we look and we're like, oh, so you're going in for the money, right? Like, some of us, like, we might look at it and it's like, so you're trying to get the paycheck, huh? And it's like, no, like, you're getting the paycheck because that is where like kind of like the actual, like, we have created so much value in this actual tangible thing that the only way to get like maybe some like the most straightforward respect is through a check, right? Because
like, that's how you get your validation.
Yes, and as the flip side of it, where it's like, yeah, it is a historical mark to it, but like, for some people, they don't care about that. Like, they don't have any.
They did it for the pride.
Yes,
and for passion.
So like, I mean, that's where
whether the wives liked it or not.
And on the flip side,
it's for the game.
And for the flip side, there's
for the podcast.
For the flip side, there's people like Martin Luther King or different things like that, where there's never gonna be really like, how weird would it be if there's like a Martin Luther King bourbon? Like, it's feel like, what the heck's going on here? Like, it'd be. I think that it'd be a weird thing to like hand out because of like what his actual cause of like what he was doing. Like, this
did he drink?
I don't know about that. I think that he did.
I don't know.
When it comes to these memorial things, if you truly like love it, like, be mindful of like both the aspect of like the market, because it's not going to go away, that it is a financial investment, that these businesses are going to get a financial like part of it,
venture
like,
between the two entities.
and that's perfect, fine. But at the same time, like, think about the legacy that's being contributed to this, right? Like, we're celebrating this around Juneteenth. It is kind of like, that is what's so hard about this. It is about a balancing act of the history and the things that we're trying to progress as a society, at the same time that money talks. Gordon Gekko, greed is good, and I don't know if it's good, but it is the way of the world, the way the world works, and that's how it is. So yeah. Anyway,
on the palate.
We're gonna put it on the palate. I don't know if we're cheersing to greed, but we're cheersing to this drink right here.
Yes. A little more bite than I expected.
What does it say again? 95?
95 proof. There's the oak on the finish. It's got corn.
That's crazy.
It's got that caramel sweetness.
The oak did not present.
Caramel?
Yeah. The oak did not present itself at all on the nose. Or very, very
now,
subtly.
Did you give the description about this? Okay.
While I was pouring, yeah.
I apologize for that. Is there anything that like you feel like is very St. Louis-esque with this?
Other than the obvious colors.
Okay. So I didn't know if there was like elements that were in this that you're like, this feels like a representation of St. Louis versus, like we said, Philly being.
For me, St. Louis is just one of those towns I've driven through. I know I visited when I was a little kid, but I don't remember a thing about it. When we were driving through it on the way to try to catch the totality of that last eclipse, I saw that the arch at the base, there was a national park over there. I had no idea that area around the footing was was a national park. I thought, well, that's really cool. Hey, Jennifer, check that out. She thought it was cool. It'd be another national park.
Have you ever gone up in the arch?
I don't think I did. And if I did, I was a little kid and I don't remember it.
I've been up a couple of times.
A couple times?
Yeah. That's fine.
Did you take the elevator or did you take the stairs?
Took the elevator.
The tram?
Yep.
The tram?
Yeah.
Little cars that do this.
It's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's not like on a rail, just sitting kind of side saddle.
No, well, they kind of go up and then do this.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The arch is like, it's one of those things that like now talking about it, it's like, oh yeah, it's such a unique experience.
Mm-hmm.
But like when I if we don't talk about it, like I'm like, yeah, I was up there, and I just kind of blase over it. But then it's like when you're up there, and like how you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah,
like, how like small space it is, and like looking through the windows to like see stuff. It is.
I mean, that whole observation deck that you're on there. I mean, you've
indoors,
got this,
right?
It's all it's all indoors.
Okay.
But I mean, there's a serious curve to the floor, and you just feel like you're like kind of hunched over in this little space.
It's an interesting.
They should put a slide on that.
Oh, that would be a trip.
Yeah.
Down the outside.
Yeah, round the outside.
I feel like at a certain point, you like the speed that you'd be going, like, would be too dangerous. Like you just like they need a massive ball pit at the bottom of it, where like that's like at least like 20 feet, and then you just hit the.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
And then people never come back out.
That would be cool. Get out of my
mom.
Stay out of my
mom.
I'd be like,
and she's like.
She's 20 feet deep in a ball pit.
She just texts me and says like,
I haven't seen this many balls since 1974.
You talking about my mom like that? No, just kidding. But
sudden dislocation of the jaw.
But she texts me and she's like, just go on without me. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'll see you at the bottom.
Okay.
Not sure what to think about that finish. It's typical bourbon finish. It's sweet. It's warm. I'm guessing that's a St. Louis hug.
Yeah, there definitely has a St. Louis hug.
Not my turn to coin, because, I do like the finish, though. Well, okay. Lower than I thought it'd be. This one dipped below the lowest of the other two. Of the three so far. In my rating. Not by much, but...
On that note, what'd you give it on the nose?
On the nose, I gave it a 3.5. It's better than average, but it does have all the typical
the usual suspects.
The usual suspects. There you go. I couldn't think of the term, but yeah. So and I liked it. It seems like this might have rye in it. I'd be surprised to find out that this bourbon doesn't have rye in the mash bill.
It said corn rye,
a semi-significant amount.
It said corn rye malted barley.
Okay. I didn't pick up on the malted barley. Did you?
I didn't either.
No? Sometimes it shows up. But how about you?
I gave it 3 3/4.
How about you, Mr. Chandler?
I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Again, like I like.
It's just the nose.
Yeah,
sometimes the nose doesn't present itself well.
Yeah.
This one did, but it didn't wow me, so it didn't bring me to a 4.
I was really just surprised at just how non-existent the oak was on the nose, but then how much it presented itself on the palate.
Right there on the palate. And on the palate, what did you give it?
On the palate, I gave it a 3 3/4.
Okay. So did I. I gave it a 3 3/4 on the palate because it showed up. Some of the notes that we expected that were missing on the nose showed up on the palate, and they showed up well. They presented themselves well. Once again, I wasn't wowed by it, so I didn't give it a 4. And Mr. Johnson,
I'm the same.
3.75, same.
Yeah.
And not recalling what I gave the Rieger's Bottled and Bond bourbon. I feel like this is a good bourbon, but it's just not quite the standards of the bottle and bond version.
I could see that with bottled and bond. There's so many different guidelines that you have to go by.
It's a lot stricter regulated.
Yeah, otherwise you can't put bottled and bond on that thing. So I get it. How about finish?
3.5.
All right. So it kind of dipped off a little bit for you on the finish.
Yep.
For me, I thought the finish was more developed, more present or whatever, more hello, and you're not up in your face, but definitely in front of you, than it was on the nose or the palate. So that's why I gave it a 4 even. How about you, Mr. Chandler?
Gave it a 3.75.
Yep.
So I think that like
Yeah, you're right there in between us.
I think that I wasn't you know I don't think I was blown away by the like it just kind of was like I think that it again a lot of times for me so far has been like if the nose or like the palate starts like kind of connecting with what I'm like looking for, then it like it just trickles down all the way, and like there isn't any surprises from all of a sudden like the nose is one thing, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I'm blown away by this.
Some whiskeys can be that way.
So that's how I'm feeling about this, and that's how I'm going.
How about bottle presentation, Mr. Chandler?
So I feel like this is probably a little bit unfair, and I think that in the grand scheme of things, I'd probably have this the same across the board. But I will say that being the Kansas City kid, I feel like I'm struggling with like just fully just being so into like the St. Louis vibe, and that's on me. That's on me. Maybe that's unfair. Maybe that seems like a little bit biased. We all have it, and I'm showing it right now.
This is your score. You can score it however the hell you want.
But I'm just saying, like,
you're the KC kid.
I think that this, but again, I just worry that, like, again, all the Kansas City fans out there are going to be like, oh, like you matched it up with the Monarchs and everything like that. And it's like, wait. So I did downgrade it a little bit about. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's a beautiful bottle. I do like this color a lot.
Blue and gold just works.
The baseball aspect and everything like that. So I probably
that's no moon.
Right.
So I will probably say that in the grand scheme of things, I'd probably get a 4 and like a quarter. I gave it a 4.
A 4 even.
And again, all the elements are the same. They're there. I just think that like it feels like my own bias would like I'd be like St. Louis, and maybe just like because there's just a little tit.
Little tit for tat, little animosity.
So it's probably like me just being a little bit silly on that part. But I probably that's the only thing. So I might change it right now just on the reflection part, but at the time I gave it a 4 just to be.
That's right. That's what I gave it. I gave it a 4 even. I give it a 4 even, just like all the other bottles. And that was before. Actually, this was after I found out that it had the JR Rieger shield on the bottom in the punt, which that makes me feel a lot more confident in my 4 even.
Okay.
Because I mean, is this really a 4? I mean, it looks just like all their other standard bottles, same standard label shape, you know. So I'm like, is it really worthy of a 4? But it definitely is. It definitely is, because you've got all that interesting information, team specific information, region specific information. So it's like there's nothing really to bitch about, and it's good information. It's great. It's great designing. This bottle's different because it's got the baseball. The Grays had the glove, right? Yeah. And the Monarchs had the pennants. And, you know, we haven't gone to the
Chicago
American Giants
yet, and explored their baseball bat label, which we will.
Yep.
But, you know, I like it. That's why I gave it a 4.0. How about you, Mr. Deputy 2?
Like I stated, I bumped it up a little bit because of just that aha moment that wow, this has something that I hadn't recognized before. I hadn't realized.
And it did wow you. Did it wow
did.
you half a point wow or a quarter point wow?
Quarter point. So I'm up to a 4.5.
4.5. Okay.
I was 4.25 before this. I bumped it up to 4.5. On reflection, is this a 4.5 put up next to other things that I've maybe given a 4.5? Probably not, but it's not fair to compare. So I'm not comparing. In the moment, this was a moment that I realized they had that extra little something on the bottom side of it. So
you might have to go back and revisit your score and
I'm gonna leave.
remath it.
I'm gonna leave the previous scores as is.
Are you?
Because this bottle was the moment that I discovered that element.
Okay. All right. What did your final score end up being?
7 3/4.
All right. That's not a bad. It's not. I mean, everybody here, a little inside baseball. Everybody here so far. I mean, everybody here tonight will score this bottle lower than the other two. Mm-hmm. But we're just going bottle by bottle by bottle. So, don't count it against Rieger's because this is a decent bourbon. Sure. It really is. And I gave it a 7 and what is that? 5/8, 6.25. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 7 and 5/8.
Okay.
That's just how the mathed out.
Yep.
By golly, somehow. I don't think it should have, but it did. But Mr. Chandler,
So
where'd you come up? So you did a little alterations on your scores.
I did an alteration. So again, as I said, when the first episode, I said all these bottles are going to be fairly consistent. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to feel the same way about every bottle. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty unfair of me to go full tilt Kansas City bias and say that this is a 4 versus a 4.25. That's where in my head, I wanted to switch it for the transparency's sake. Because, there's a little bit of integrity that I'm trying to maintain when I show back up here and things like that. Mm-hmm. So with the joking version of myself, I put it's a 7.5. Mm-hmm. But with the honest, perspective about the bottle and everything like that, it's a 7.625, which is about 7.6. So yeah.
All right.
So that's 7.5. But you and I, we ended up in the same
same boat,
same score.
Yeah.
Different numbers to get there, but yeah.
Yeah.
You're not empty yet, but there's chocolate on the nose now.
It's like Nestle cocoa hot cocoa mix, the powdered shit.
Yep.
That I grew up with.
Yeah,
remember the metal can with the little.
You had to get the spoon out and
and then you fucking mom's yelling at you. Are you prying that open with a spoon?
And then while she's not looking, you're taking the spoon and getting a big old heaping pile of it and
right down the mouth.
So there's So there's, and this is a weird reference, but there's a Dane Cook, like back when he was like big, that he would talk about like he'd be on his big wheel like taking hits of the quick.
Oh,
I always thought that was a funny reference. And stuff.
I had a big wheel. Did you have a big wheel?
Oh yeah, and a green machine.
Yeah,
green machine. What was a green machine?
The green machine was the one that had instead of the steering wheel, it had the levers.
I've seen those.
That would turn the back axle.
Now here's my question: did you have a big wheel that was plastic?
Yes.
Yeah. There's nothing like.
And then you wore down.
Yeah, there's
the
nothing
entire
like
because one side had the brake, whichever side it was.
Oh, I didn't have that.
You didn't have
the blue brake handle.
Was it blue? Okay, I thought mine was red.
I didn't have a brake.
The big wheel itself was red. The front wheel was like yellow and the spokes, but the brake was blue.
All right.
Yeah, they got rid of my brakes. I was just riding for Need for Speed.
Where he's going, he don't need brakes.
Yeah.
When we don't need.
I'll tell you something. When my big wheel hit 88 miles per hour, you saw it. I wish they had like a big kid's plastic big wheel that like I could like buy. I mean, they probably do, but like the amount.
I'm sure there's a lot of people our age that would.
Oh yeah.
Pony down the money.
There's something about that childhood aspect of big wheels, and I'm trying
We
to think
built
of something.
ramps.
For your big wheels?
I did things that I probably should not have.
Survived?
That I probably not should not. Yeah, definitely.
It's like if you were a child of anywhere from late 80s to before, I would guess. It's like your childhood was designed to kill you. And if you lived to see adulthood, you're a survivor. You're a fighter.
Yeah.
And
we're not even talking about drinking out of the water hose.
Garden hoses. Yeah. I was talking to somebody the other day about growing up in Sugar Creek, and like if there was a garden hose, you drank from it. The neighbors didn't care as long as you turned it off when you were done.
Yeah.
You just let it run until it was cold, so you knew it was fresh. Still tastes like goddamn garden hose. But I'm drinking Sugar Creek water straight from the tap. Of course I'm normal.
Wait, so we're not supposed to be drinking from the hose anymore?
Not supposed to, no. There's like hydrofluorocarbons and awful things,
I just want to make sure that I'm clear on that now.
Yeah, apparently it's not
But
advised.
I mean, that was early immune system cleansation.
Because that's the only thing that I drink from,
Practice.
even still to this day.
Even still to this day, yeah.
I wake up and even in the middle of the night, I'm like, man, I'm thirsty. Go out to the hose and
get you pull off that and like that fucking slaps, son.
reminds
all the minerals and all the heavy
reminds me of the
metals.
summer of '96. Woof, that's great. This is good.
Reminds me of the salmon run of 70.
So
good times. Yeah, I was surprised to find chocolate on the empty
second
glass
nose.
Second nose, yeah.
I know
fucking
exactly
wild.
what you mean in the sense of like specifically the powder.
Yeah. Or like maybe it's dry cocoa pebbles. Or the chocolate Rice Krispies. Maybe not Cocoa Pebbles, but yeah.
I can see Pebbles. I guess Pebbles feels a little bit more richer.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is such an interesting thing when you talk about cereal.
Yeah.
Like I know exactly what you mean in the sense of like
like you get it from the bag in the Malto-Meal section.
Yeah.
Like and then you get it from like the box in the name brand section, but still, I mean, you're going chocolate Rice Krispies to chocolate Rice Krispies, and then when you go to Cocoa Pebbles,
that's a game changer.
motherfucking.
Can I tell you something?
That's like mom got a raise, dude.
Can I tell you something about like sometimes like it's just rough out there. The struggle is real and stuff. I was a big growing up. Frosted Flakes was that was the thing for me and stuff.
They're
like that
great.
But like
Tony Tiger.
there for a hot second, for a while there in our lives, we bought the off brand.
Yeah.
Like Frosted Flakes. It's fascinating to watch cereal not like get soggy. Like you put it in milk and it doesn't get soggy. You like even as a kid, you're like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And that's what I thought about that off brand. Like I'd put it in and I'm like, man, the crunch, this thing has been in here for like at least 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the crunch is still strong. Like it's not.
The crunch is strong with this one.
Yeah, it has not given up at all. Like it's one of those things.
The ghost is still intact.
Oh, you think you're gonna break me with some milk?
Yeah.
I was like,
is that all you got? Pussy. Family show.
it's like a strong,
it's like your bowl of cereal's talking shit.
yeah.
You want to send milk?
Yeah.
After me?
Yeah. It's
You're gonna have to try harder.
It's given a whole promo. It's given.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's got. Yeah. So it's just insane. I said, Mom, my milk, my cereal is not giving up on me. Like I put this in my mouth and it feels like I'm eating rocks. Like what's going on? So it's like, can we go back to the Frosted Flakes? Yeah.
Chewing on the gravel
She's like,
road.
She's like, keep your mouth closed. I'm like, my mouth is completely closed.
Yeah, she didn't want to hear you complain.
But like,
She didn't want to hear your feedback. Like, keep
in
your mouth
her
closed.
ears, it sounded like THX. It was like. I was like, Mama.
Yeah. Good times. Well, I wrote as a little synopsis here, a fine bourbon to pay homage to the St. Louis Stars Negro League baseball team. Available only in the Fielder's Choice collection, this bourbon has interesting things across the nose and through the finish. Anybody here have closing thoughts?
Good stuff.
Good stuff. I agree.
It's the gateway to the West.
St. Louis is the gateway to the West. I've been through that gateway a few times, and you've got some gateway to the West traveling, going through it here really soon.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to hearing your stories, seeing those pictures from the road, because I'm going to post them on Twitter, X, whatever. Hope you're following on Twitter, because I'm always posting some dumb shit there.
And I guess what I was going to say, despite the low rankings, it is a gateway to a good time still, despite all
Absolutely. It's still a fine bourbon to share with friends and family. And plus, this one here will give you a little bit of insight with a little bit of a history lesson into the Negro Leagues. And just think that, things were separated even with baseball back then, before Jackie Robinson joined and changed the baseball world forever.
It's one of those things, and like, I mean, we could talk. I mean, and I don't have the education enough to be able to talk about it, but like how much when you think about like Jackie Robinson Day and things like that, where it's like he legitimately changed the whole nature of how we see sports to this day. In every sport, like it's just like like it's not just like, oh, like, well, he helped baseball. It's like no, he helped every sport that you see. There is no Serena, there is no Michael Jordan, there is no Venus, there is no
Bo Jackson.
No Bo Jackson. No
going from baseball, football, and tennis.
No Jerry Rice, no Simone Biles. None of that isn't without like Jackie Robinson.
There's a name I haven't heard in a while. I wonder what she's doing. Is she back in the Olympics?
I think she's planning on coming back to the next one.
God, what is that girl made of? Yeah. She's incredible.
Yeah, she's something else. But like, I mean, that type of stuff, like, and this is before that, where it's like you have the
way before
the.
I mean, you can argue, it had to happen at some point. It had to be somebody,
right?
But he stood there. He took the brunt of all that heat, and he did not fail. He did not back down. He didn't crack, because black don't crack, and he just he took it. He took it like the only way a black man can.
Yeah. And
facing it and not fucking backing down.
And one of the things that I will say that's been great in the sense of historically, and that's debatable, but like the moments when you need the person to rise to the occasion, they do it in a way that's exceptional. And
it exceeds.
And it's, I mean, you could say like, hey, there's other examples of people that were before that like, attempted to rise to the occasion, and obviously history looks at just the victors and not everybody else. But I mean, it is one of those things to look at Jackie Robinson, and still to this day, everybody's like blown away by like who he was and what he did, and in a short amount of time, because they treated him so brutally that like he could have broke a lot of records in a certain way, but like he also couldn't do that because he had to go through the mental and the physical struggles to be the baseball player that would transcend the rest of the sports industry in general. So
all due respect to Jackie Robinson for sure. But even, not to negate anything, but before him, there was the Negro Leagues where it was before the integration was even possible. It just wasn't even. Hell no, that's not going to happen. Ain't going to happen. Sorry, kids. But that's the world that these folks lived in and grew up in, and, lived their entire lives. And then after the Negro Leagues were dispersed, comes, integration into national sports across all fields, like you had said. But, I mean, people in the St. Louis Stars or the Grays or the Monarchs or the American Giants, they would have never imagined anything like today's sports could possibly be. But that was a different and difficult time, I'm sure. But hopefully history, hindsight being 2020, hopefully Rieger's and the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum came together and did a good thing.
Yeah.
To help spread the word of the awareness of these things in our history having existed. Those players now have a place to be showcased in a museum. Their families, they're living today, can go there and say, "This is my ancestor. This is somebody. We are somebody because of what this person did."
Well, and I guess maybe if there's a closing piece to this in my head, like you have this, and these guys have done an episode talking about Filmland and like the amazingness about this, right? Like the storytelling that is behind this. And I know that people that are very interested in the history, right, of the storytelling behind the bourbon, they will go around with their friends and say, what's really cool about this is that like they write a whole entire script before they actually make the bourbon, and they do this and everything like that.
And with that's exactly what they did.
That's great.
All the characters are made up, and
that's fantastic. Here's the thing about this one is that it is history, living history. That you can actually tell that story to anybody and do that. So I mean, while you're having a drink, think about the aspect of like being able to say, look at the back and do your due diligence of like understanding who are the stars, who are the monarchs, who are the giants, who are the oh my gosh, hold on, forget the Grays. Just give me a second. But like all those different types of things, like being able to kind of look into that, because I think that's where it adds another layer to the experience. And if you're willing to do that due diligence while you're like, having a drink with your friends and stuff, it creates a great experience. I'm enjoying myself with these two wonderful people because we're talking about this and being able to unpack these like very like sensitive subjects, but at the same time subjects that like are important to a better understanding of us as a community. So yeah,
difficult subjects are easier to broach with kindness and respect,
and a little bit of bourbon.
Well said. Well fucking said. Well said.
Drink to that.
Yeah. So no matter who you are, where you are, what you're drinking, and who you're drinking it with, never forget, keep on burning.